righty, we're doing day one wrap-up. What did you guys see that you like? I'm going to do my own wrap-up probably later tonight.
One room I was really impressed with, Bella Sound Analysis speakers.
Yep.
Beautiful, very, very detailed. I have not heard them before. Gorgeous speakers. They had a really nice setup in their room. For me today, YG Acoustics sort of stole the day. They had multiple.
Well, they were in so many rooms.
I mean, there were multiple rooms,
so
but really
many rooms.
every one of them was really dialed in pretty well, and some better than others. But again, like the first room we went to, it was just like the way that they just set the room.
And that was
up.
probably for me the best one that they were in, but all of them sounded pretty good.
And those were the Vantage 3s.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just all of those rooms sounded fantastic. So I really enjoyed all the rooms with YG Acoustics, and I thought were done very well, matched up well with the gear they were showing, and they looked like they took the time to set up the room right, put some room treatments up, things of that nature, which I think paid off.
Yeah, that little cubby hole in the first room of the day was very difficult room because others had set up systems in those cubby holes and it was very echoey, the tonal balance was wrong. Obviously we didn't have a ton of tracks, but everything that they played was
And that's how we
really
started that floor off, too. That was the first.
So that was, today was a day for YG. The Sound Labs, I was very excited to hear, but I think that room is just way too small.
Yeah.
And some of the dynamic material we requested with the combination of the amp and the Sound Lab, this is one of those speakers you're going to have to hear in a true demo environment, and knowing that it is conducive to a certain type of style of music where its strengths are more prevalent than dynamic contrast and acoustic wave that'll hit you. Like the flip side of the coin, we played Thunderstruck in the Cora, and you got to literally wear seatbelts to, you will move out of your chair. It's so dynamic and powerful. Lots of fun in that room today.
MBL room.
The MBL room,
the 120.
This is where you got to see Jeremy have to deal with a normal small room. He usually gets a bigger room. He showed he could go into those small rooms. He brings the right speaker for it and made it sound really good. And I have a walk. I went in there twice. The second time I brought my daughter for the first time she could hear MBLs. And we also did a walkthrough of the gear. That new all-in-one DAC preamp streamer, really nice.
11,000, wasn't it?
And they might be cannibalizing their own business with that thing because you got the pedigree of MBL, good quality. There really is no reason to upgrade unless you just got money to burn in a lot of respects. So that was really a cool room. What else did you like, Dave?
Well, there were several things, but we'll go back to the Sound Lab. I first heard them they had the big panels set up in the morning. And again, as you brought up before when we had a talk about the imaging issue I've got with wide panel speakers. They just, imaging too wide, singers too wide, larger than life, like Magnepans do. So I very much look forward to the thinner panels they set up in the afternoon. And they were much, much better.
That's what you were hanging your hat on. That is definitely something you liked about the Sound Lab.
Well, I consider them not a full-range speaker. Right. I was considering them as a speaker where you're going to roll off the low end and you're going to do like a distributed bass array with them, maybe say, below 80 hertz or something like that. And I think as a unit, in a system like that, I think there's possibilities.
Yeah, it would definitely change the whole thing if you're not making those drivers do the bass work. So,
and as far as, and the YG, that first room we went to, the Vantage 3s, and then later, the Sonya series. And I was very impressed with that. I said, wow. But then later, we found the Haley series, which is the one step down from the Sonya. And I was impressed with those. And I was saying, I was hard-pressed to tell a big difference between the Sonya and the Haley series. They look very similar, and they sound very similar. But I kept wanting to go back to that first YG room to recalibrate. Each time I went to hear a different room, thinking, hey, this is really good, let me go back to what I knew was really good. And then I want to go back to the Acora room for the smaller Acoras. The twos in the small room, to me, I think that small room was wonderful.
The other room I liked was the Zoo Audio speakers.
That was a surprise.
That surprised me. I've heard Zoo Audio speakers before. I've never seen them look like this. And they were it was the Black Ice.
Black Ice room.
That was.
And that was a room when they were
impressive.
setting up, so they didn't care about sound. Because I went in there yesterday to try to help out the room across the way, because they were having trouble setting up the same curved wall, right? And I said, okay, let me go over, see what they're doing over here. It's an identical room. It's 180 degrees away. But they weren't even trying to set up.
It just seemed to work. I don't know. We sat down and like, whew, it sounded really good.
They
sounded really good.
They did not have a bass issue.
Yeah.
Well, I'll probably agree with many of you guys, what you're talking about when I do my wrap up in the hotel room late at night. One of the macro things I wanted to talk
What
about.
about the new open baffle?
The new spatial one?
The spatial.
Yes, that was very impressive. Definitely, I think, a step up from the prior spatials in both aesthetics and performance. Very impressed with that, but that's going to be on my list.
That's a tall speaker.
Yeah, it's very attractive. Just making that extra driver and just the aesthetic element is really big for me. But really, one of the takeaways and one reason why my coverage, I do the coverage I do, and why it's important to tell you guys this, watch to the end of my videos a lot of times. Even if the song is boring, maybe scroll ahead, because a lot of times I don't get to talk to the people in the room until the end. And that's where you, look, none of these systems are going to be what you should have at home, especially if the Bach ORC. That's going to be next level. You're not going to hear anything that good. Here, you're not evaluating the equipment on what you're hearing. You're evaluating on what potential it could have in your room with your associated gear. And one thing that really impressed me was this Genesis speaker. It's the new one by Gary Coe. And you go in there and you look at it, you think it's just a normal box speaker with a grill on it. You couldn't even see the drivers. When you realize it's got a rear firing tweeter. The whole base of the speaker, it looks like outriggers, and I asked him about it. It's actually acoustic suspension. He's decoupling for you. And he's got a lot of other things. Go watch the video. It's much more than meets the eye with that speaker. And not unless you spend a lot of time listening will you be able to do the talking to the people. You're going to find out that is actually a very advanced speaker and worthy of getting to know. And sometimes it takes watching all the way to the end of my video. And also sometimes take two is better than take one, because we went into a room, and this is actually, y'all can vouch for this. This happened before. I just don't show you these videos where we go in and the speakers are wired out of phase.
Right.
Yeah.
This time I decided to disclose it. And the reason being is because I was so impressed with how they reacted to it. Sometimes when we tell them their speakers out of phase, they get defensive. And I don't want to make people look bad, even if it makes us look good.
Until you sit in the wrong spot. You're like, well, I'm right in the center.
Or the recording's out of phase. There's all kinds of there's all kinds of excuses people make. And we could make ourselves look good finding it a lot. But what I really was impressed with, when we brought that up, he immediately assumed we're educated, we know what we're talking about, and he
confirmed it and he switched it. And it sounded
I think he
much better.
saw me looking at the back and knowing that the wires were mixed. So kudos to Raven Audio, because this happens on the first day of the show. Lots of people out of phase. Even the most expensive speakers in the world I've found having these kind of issues. So nobody's immune to it, and some of them even have it wired internally out of phase. So there's a lot of issues sometimes you uncover. The fact that they responded immediately, looked at it, heard, said yes, and no excuses or spin, very much. That's what you want to support those companies, because any company can have problems. It's how they address problems makes a big difference. So thumbs up to Raven on that.
Absolutely.
Similar issue in the with the Sound Lab room where I was listening to the large panels. I had to wait my turn because so many people, were in there for a while, and everybody's enjoying it and doing the thing. I went and I sat down, and the guy was wondering what I think. I said, well, there's no center image. There's something wrong. And they kept saying, no, it's a recording, just like you had said, or you're sitting off center. I said, no, this is as center as you get. And finally, they went behind the right speaker, and they turned up the bias current for that panel. And there, sure enough, the volume on the right channel went up and met the left channel, and
it was soundstage opened.
It was all there. Yeah. So all these people had been listening to that system, including the ones who set it up, and it was all wrong.
Yeah, it's very easy on the first day of a show when you've got so little time and so many hands are being, like in the Raven audio, another guy was setting up a DAC and
Right.
did that.
Everyone's plugging in,
Somebody's
unplugging,
plugging
yeah.
in, and you got 2 sets of speakers, all this kind of stuff. This is something very common that happens at a show. But in any case, just wanted to say, watch to the end. Make sure you watch as many of my videos as you can, because you will get different impressions than if you listen to the first video with the music clips out of phase than in phase later. So yeah, thank you guys, and we're going to be
What was that one budget model? Remember we were looking at it was in black and white as a show?
Oh, that was the scan speak in the Margulis room.
And that was kind
very
of
impressive.
very budget friendly.
It was in that same kind of cubby hole as YG had. Was having some issues in that cubby hole, but outside of that cubby hole, it had all the bones that you would be able to get high level performance and looks at 4500.
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
very impressed with that.
Yep.
But you don't want to judge that speaker just on that cubby hole it's in right now. I would say you're going to get a lot more performance in a good room.
Yep.
So that's one of the macro takeaways and lessons you should learn from people that go to a lot of shows, like we're telling you right now.
And this is a very small show like Tampa was, but room quality, room to room, to me was higher than it was
Yes.
at Tampa.
Yes, the rooms, the base was very full, and I think a higher ceiling in those smaller rooms, we were getting higher performance than the Tampa show. But again, tomorrow, we're almost finished this show. It's a small show. We're going to go to Rhapsody Audio tomorrow, which has the Magico M9. It's a local dealership here. Desis Audio, Vox. We'll probably, and that's purpose-built rooms, dedicated
that's gonna
room.
be-
It's going to be awesome. I've been there before. These guys haven't. So stay tuned. That's going to be really fun tomorrow. And a lot of other fun stuff. Pete the Creek's coming. And I've got the outfit of all outfits tomorrow. You guys have seen. That's gonna be.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to coverage tomorrow. And I'll do my little wrap-up tonight with my own favorite room. See you soon.